Welcome to the Mastry experience. Today's solo episode is about money blocks. And I'm not talking about the very real economic conditions that everyone is facing in the world today, but I'm talking about your subconscious money story. I have a belief that one of the reasons that I was able to scale my business fairly quickly and successfully is because of my willingness to invest in myself. And I did this consistently. And I did this when I had nothing. So I understand where people are at. I understand that we don't always have the capital to invest in the trainings and the courses and the mentors. But when you start making that little bit of money, what I see a lot of people do is they immediately start to pull back. They immediately start to reel it in, where I think that the more you're investing in that future version of yourself, the quicker that reality is going to come to fruition. Now, I have invested in Dr. Joe Dispenza private and advanced retreat in Cancun, Tony Robbins, Business Mastery, UPW. I've invested in wealth coaches, writing coaches, business strategists, PR, speaking coaches, speaker reels, videographers, content creators, strategists, like all of the things, because I know where I'm going. I have a very deep belief in myself and I want to continue getting to those next levels. And the other really important thing is not just investing in your skills, but it's investing in your mindset and your psychology. I invest so much money in healers, other breathwork coaches, hypnotherapists, going to Bali and meeting with energists, body workers, all of these things to cleanse the rejection, the low self-worth, the fear of inadequacy, the fear of being seen, all of the things that it takes to become great and to serve at a level where you have a really pure intention. So I want you to start to examine your money story, because I feel like people make the decision to not invest in themselves, not necessarily because of the reality, but because of their conditioning. We get attached to a specific number in the checking account, and anything that goes below that triggers our scarcity and our financial insecurity. And therefore, we don't necessarily see the trade-off. Well, if I put, $2,000 into this course, we think of it as you're just losing money, but actually you're then elevating your earning potential. And that's how I always see it. So I remember investing $15,000 into a wealth coach for 3 months. And after my second session with her, she was such an expander for me that literally it was like 7 days after our first session, I booked my first 26K client because she showed me what was possible. I invested 18K in a publicist after my first year as a breathwork coach. And that investment didn't get me the PR and the publicity that I thought I was investing in, but instead it got me into this woman's community, and I ended up making $50,000 in sales from her community joining my courses and my certification. So nearly every story where I've taken the leap, even though I was uncomfortable, even though I wasn't ready, even though I didn't think that I had enough money to where it felt comfortable, it ended up paying off for me. Now, this is extremely different than investing in all the certifications and the trainings, because you maybe unconsciously have low self-worth and think that this is the thing that you need in order to be worthy or productive. These investments have to be intuitive. Yes, I think that a lot of them should stretch you a little bit. I think you have to reprogram your relationship to money and wealth and earning and what that looks like. And it's a constant cleansing. It's constantly looking at yourself and your money patterns. And I will give you a couple of examples. When I first became a breathwork coach, I was completely broke. I had no idea how I was going to make rent. And I just remember teaching at Remedy Place and Malibu Soho House, and everyone was coming up to me after class being like, "Oh my God, that was so amazing. You changed my life. You're an angel." And I was like, "Oh my God, I'm living my purpose. I'm doing all this amazing work in the world." And then literally my credit card declined at Y7 Sweat Yoga in Santa Monica. And it was the most embarrassing, most humbling moment for me in my early 30s, because I had always been successful. I had always made money, and my freaking card declined going to yoga. And I was so mortified. And I just remember crying, outside at the park in Santa Monica. And I was just so mortified. So because I was doing this amazing work and being of service and helping people really feel empowered in their lives, but then my money situation was dire, I took it to a breathwork session to be like, what the hell is actually going on? And I discovered 3 money blocks that were living in my unconscious. One, I resented money because it made my biological father absent. Basically, when he had money, he would show up and we would do things together. When he didn't, I think that really impacted his definition of being a man, and he would retract and pull away. The second money belief was that I never learned to be financially responsible because my mom always protected me from scarcity. My mother's Vietnamese. She's been through a lot in her life. And so she's one of those immigrant parents who wants to make sure that you have everything that they never had. And then the third one was I overcompensated with money because it made my stepdad frugal. So I continuously would see this memory of being at tennis lessons and asking him if I could have a Mountain Dew that was 75 cents after, and he'd be like, no. So then I adopted this pattern as an adult, like, I'm going to buy whatever I want, whenever I want. No one's going to tell me no. Like, there's no authority who's going to not be able to tell me what I can and can't do. So when I gained awareness of those 3 things, I said, whoa, okay, those are huge unconscious money blocks. Like, what's my next action step? And of course, as the universe would have it, it brought forward this spiritual entrepreneur workshop. And I went to this like $200 cash to pay for this ticket, slept on my friend's couch in San Diego, and go to this class. And the teacher starts talking about pricing and packaging. And she says, don't ever sell single sessions. Like, you'll never make money selling single sessions. And I was just like, oh. And she goes, raise your hand if you're selling single sessions. Nobody did. And so I was like, oh, I'm not going to raise my hand. And then she started talking about pricing and packaging. And immediately when I saw the 6-month package, I mean, I'm on my phone, like updating my website in real time as she's talking. I am not kidding you guys. The next day I booked my first 10K client. I had the quality of service and I had the intention, but I didn't have the right strategy. So that's the other thing about money is it's not just about living in love and light. No, like, you actually have to invest in skills and programs to give you the structure and the portals for income in order to have wealth. So that kind of set me off to do 10K clients, 15K clients, 26K clients, and so on. I developed my course and my certification, and I started making really good money. But then once I got to this completely different level, I realized that money was going as quickly as it was coming in because I didn't know how to hold money. And so I came across this other quote, was like, you can make money, but can you keep it? And I was like, ooh, what is that about? So then I had to dig into another layer of money stories. And there was a lot there too. Desiring money is not spiritual. Spending money makes me feel abundant. I was being overly generous in a lot of ways, and I had to do another level of cleansing. And I continue to do this, especially when you're going from, consumer to operator to owner to desiring assets and to having generational wealth. Like, there's all these levels that you have to cleanse and clear and change your unconscious money store and change your habits. So I would recommend you guys check out the 5-day money challenge on Mastry app. It's a really, really beautiful journey. You kind of see the early conditioning of what your parents were like with money and how it shaped your paradigm. And then it starts to go a little bit deeper into how to manifest wealth and then how to give away money as well, because that energy of giving and receiving is happening in parallel. So I'll see you guys next time on the Mastry Experience.